Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm gonna shoot everything entirely on the Insta360 Go 3. This is the world's smallest action cam, and it makes such a sick camera. I took it out to Mount Prevost for the day, and here are the results. Okay, to start things off, I have the Go 3 underneath the visor of my full face helmet right now, and it's sitting on a log and it's filming me right now as I'm out here on the trails. So everything that you're hearing and seeing is directly off this camera. You're listening to the audio from the Go 3, the video quality, and everything. Let's start things off by going into the settings that I'm going to be using for today's ride. The first thing I'm going to do is go into freeform video because I want to be able to use horizontal and vertical footage so I can use content for both social media and right here on YouTube where I can use a wider horizontal frame. A lot of the time I shoot in flat color and do a lot of my own color grading. I find with these tiny cameras, the color profile is not quite as powerful as the X3. So for that reason, I'm gonna be just shooting in vivid color. As you scroll through all the settings that the Insta360 Studio app offers, it's really cool to see all the different filters and color settings you can go with. But for the purpose of this, just to keep it simple, I'm gonna go on vivid color because vivid is always my go-to and it always looks good. Next up, I'm shooting at 30 frames per second and I'm shooting with the low light stabilization on. The reason being, it's pretty cloudy and dark today, so it's really gonna push the tiny sensor on this camera really hard. And the reason I'm doing 30 frames per second is I find it's a little nicer frame rate here on YouTube. It just runs a little smoother with the extra 6 frames per second, minus the 24 frames. I love 24 frames for Instagram and TikTok because I do love that little bit of added motion blur to the shots. But for YouTube content, I'm always aiming to shoot at 30 frames per second. So 30 frames, low light stabilization on. And then the next thing I want to do is look through the auto settings here. Going back to the auto settings, you can see the low light stabilization is in fact turned on. And then I do have it at EV comp minus 0.5. I find that if I go below 0 with the EV comp, it does make the stabilization a little better. The cool thing about the freeform video versus the regular video setting is you have a little bit of extra movement to work with, and it does make the footage even more stable while being slightly wider. And I'm doing all of this off my phone, by the way, because using the phone app is so intuitive and easy. You don't have to mess around with the studio on desktop. Honestly, for this little camera, I just use the phone app because you know what? You're on a tiny little camera that you don't even notice on your helmet, and you want to make everything as simple as possible. That is the #1 purpose of this camera, for simplicity and ease and convenience. At first, I tried to mount this camera on my chin mount because that is my favorite mount. It's what I use for the X3. You get amazing 360 footage from the chin mount because you don't get your helmet in the shots at all. When it's on your chest and you lean forward, sometimes the edge of your full face or even your half shell visor gets in the shot. And then sometimes you just see like too much of your bike in your body. And I like how on the chin, you're further away from your body, your handlebars are still right there, but you're out on your helmet, so you're not gonna see any of your helmet. And I figured this is probably gonna be the best angle I can use for the Go 3. But it turns out it was really a struggle on my first lap to find a good angle that would actually show the trail. I'm either looking at the handlebars or I'm looking at the trail. I'm not looking at both at the same time. And it's because I'm so used to 360 cameras at this point that I'm used to having like an endless field of view. And that's honestly on me. I needed to dial my angle in more. But after a few laps, I couldn't really figure it out. So I just went for under the visor. The advantage of having the camera mounted under the visor is it's a little higher up, so the handlebars are a little farther away. You can look further out on the trail and still catch a glimpse of the bars. And I think this looks great for the vertical footage. So for social media, this is pretty epic because you have a camera on your helmet that you don't even notice or feel or see or anything, and you're getting some pretty rad shots with it. And honestly, the flow state stabilization in this camera is pretty next level. It's like smoother than any other stabilization I've seen on any action cam that isn't a 360 cam. I also found once I put it under my visor, just overall, like the angle's pretty good. It made really good follow cam footage when I had someone really close in front of me. And I was pretty happy with the footage overall. Let's check out some full runs with this setup. Okay, so those are the results. I'm pretty stoked on them. This honestly wouldn't be my #1 camera though, but as a secondary camera, it's pretty sick. I think the #1 use for this for me would be not for YouTube, but for social media content. So I could have my main camera on the chin, and then I could have this one underneath the visor, and I would have a nice B cam, a nice secondary angle. And why not run 2 cameras if you can, especially if you don't even notice the second one is there. It's just gonna give you more options when you're creating content. And that's the Insta360 Go 3 camera, pretty rad camera. If you wanna get one, you can get one at the link in the description here using my affiliate link. Any little bit supports me and I appreciate your help. Thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos really soon. Peace out.